I wasn't planning on making another video because I felt I said most of what I needed to today when I did the stream on the problems with the black community. Um, but I noticed a dislike, and oftentimes when I see those, I don't pay them much attention because unless a person comments where they disagreed with you on, you can't really take it too seriously. People have disliked critically acclaimed songs. Um, so there is someone who has distaste for pretty much everything. Hello, O'Donoghue. Now, the reason I'm responding to it, however, is because I sat here and as I thought about the number of times I've seen, someone react negatively to something I've posted, especially oftentimes out explaining what their problem was. There is this thing in the back of my mind where I say to myself, even if the point I made was one with which you disagreed with, I still went out of my way to speak about it in what I felt was a respectful manner um, that was conducive to solving the issue. I didn't have to call anyone out of their name. I didn't have to, demonize a whole group. And much of it was designed for the intent of solving the problem, even if this one stream alone doesn't fully evaporate every issue. And the person who's stumbling that down more often than not is, running some channel with no content, with no photos, with um, nothing beyond maybe the capacity to press the dislike button and leave some um, mean-spirited comment. And that's not to say that person could never, amount to anything or do anything of any substance, but I have noticed a tendency for those who do not participate in trying to create content to seemingly um, get a rise off of downing those that do. Um, and it's kind of funny. I can recall a conversation I had last year with a woman who spoke about her disliking of being disliked. And I told her, you look at any major historical figure, exactly, O'Donoghue, every video gets hate, it's impossible to avoid. But really think about this. You look at any major historical figure, whether it's, Lincoln or MLK, figures that are revered 100 or a century or a half a century after their death. And these are people who, during their lifetime, were so hated that someone went out of their way to kill them. And many people nowadays would say, "Oh man, I do anything I can to protect MLK. I do anything I can to praise Lincoln. He's the one who saved us from during the Civil War." They will go out of their way to praise these people um, posthumously, or if I'm using the terms grammatical, just pronunciation correctly. But those of us who are around now and trying to uh, create some supposed radical change over a system that we feel is flawed and messed up are now subject to being demonized, hated, uh, excluded, and verbally crucified. And that's something those two went through during their life. That's something that many commentators who aren't talking about some video game or TV show, and even then, you still have people who will actually go after you on something as simple as that. Um, I've been insulted over my opinions on cartoons of all things, um, but they don't tend to hit home as much because they're not. I can live with bad entertainment or entertainment that I think isn't all entertaining because it doesn't so much impact the way we live that it controls our life. The laws we have, the people we're around, their reactions to things, all are the result of how they were brought up, who they're around, and what's available to them. So for me to go out of my way to say, hey, look, we need to have, positive figures that are both male and female in the lives of these children that are coming up in these, single parent households, and to have someone downvote that, even as you say, look, there's been problems with both sides on this issue regarding gender. It's a slap in the face. Um, but it's one that the person who did it probably couldn't explain away. It is also one that the people who are currently participating in can't explain away. other than to cast blame instead of trying to solve or fix the problem. So I don't mean to sound as if I'm on a high horse, but I am um, very restrained in just the presentation of this content because I like to believe that when you speak to one person and you've spoken to them many times, you can kind of gauge who that person is as far as, will me saying this actually get them to think about this? Will it make them, wonder, hey, maybe this could be correct? And a lot of times when you have people that you're around that you don't typically have a high opinion of, you start to think to yourself, well, what's the point of me even saying this to them? They've already concluded that what I have to say is not void or is non-void and is not valid, so I might as well just give up. When you're doing a video, on the other hand, you can't control who all sees it, so there is that potential for someone to stumble upon it and actually want to hear out what you're trying to convey. And obviously, there will be those who will go after you for your remarks or for things that you've stated. And that's been evident over the last couple of decades, just with these historical figures I named that have been assassinated or have had some kind of um, physical retribution made toward them. And you come back 50 or 100 years later, and they're suddenly on everyone's uh, Instagram account and being posted about so lovingly. And then I also kind of thought to myself, who's to say that in that same span of time we won't see the same thing happen here, where those few commenters that I name who actually contribute to the positivity of this account, um, are remembered fondly, and I am as well. And then the people who are writing all this nasty stuff are demonized. I mean, think about it: segregationists and those who are in favor of slavery and every other messed up program in the U.S. at that time thought they were right, thought what they were conveying or what they were trying to stop was correct. And now they're demonized by people who are opposed to those views that have grown up with a different way of thinking. So it's look, this could all turn out to maybe be the wrong side, but I think I'm on the right one. Okay, O'Donohue says people enjoy hating on other people's work. Yeah, what I don't get is if you don't like it, then don't watch it. There isn't a single person I watch the content of with any regularity that I do not have some high opinion of and or favor. Yes, they will come up with something that I'm not interested in. Um, you have people who will go and review a majority of, I don't know, let's say um, Mario games, and then after a while they start talking about Metroid. Just don't watch the video. Sometimes I might even just click it just out of curiosity. Maybe I don't like this game, but they sure explained their points and made valid arguments. Or if they didn't, I'll say, hey, look, I don't agree with this because of that. There's too much stuff on this site to focus on what you are not in favor of. And there's even, there's way less time in life to go and comment nastily on the content of people you're not in favor of. It's one thing to say, hey, I disagree with you on this because of A, B, and C. When you say, hey, I don't agree with you on this, and your, insult, derogatory term here, what's the point of me even trying to give you any benefit of the doubt? Especially when you're basically confirming you can't even approach this with a neutral view. A lot of the stuff I talk about, if I were not restrained, I'd be tempted to jump up, start swearing, um, and act in all manners of just evil or anger. But the point of doing it in this manner, again, is to find some way of having an alternative where people can't go and say, "Oh, this person is angry, so that means that what they're trying to say has been disfigured." Because people will comment, "Oh, he's mad, so there's something wrong with." So if you just come at it from the perspective of relaxed or trying to speak about this without doing it in a certain way, I think you can start up that dialogue. Okay, O'Donohue says there's so many niches on YouTube that it's no wonder people disagree on things. I can get that. I just don't get why they come on to the content of someone that they admit they don't like and just keep following them. We have so many cases of that where people will just watch someone religiously even though they don't like them. I don't understand. Maybe they're, reluctant fans or something. I don't know. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, or if it's in some areas, I guess it's Sunday. I have something out tomorrow.